Have you ever noticed that some women speak very differently to men they truly respect, and men they don't? Not rude, not cold, just careful. Polite in a way that keeps you slightly outside the circle. The words sound supportive, reasonable, even kind, but you never feel fully trusted with the truth. Conversations stay smooth but never deep. You're included but not relied on. And over time, you start sensing that what she says and what she means don't quite line up. It shows up in small ways, when she avoids direct answers, when everything important is softened, when you're given comfort instead of honesty, nothing you can argue with, nothing you can quote back. Just a growing feeling that you're being managed instead of met. Most men think disrespect looks loud, obvious, confrontational, but often it's quiet. It hides inside a certain lie that sounds gentle, but keeps you from ever standing on equal ground. This video isn't about blaming women or feeding anger. It's about helping you see what respect actually looks like and what it doesn't. So you can finally understand what position you're really being placed in. There's a phrase many men hear in relationships. It sounds soft, it sounds reasonable, it sounds mature, but every time you hear it, you feel yourself get a little smaller, not because she says anything cruel, but because after that sentence, your position in the relationship does not rise. Only your sense of yourself goes down. You're still there, still the one who texts first, still the one who makes time, still the one who understands. But somewhere inside you, there's a feeling you can't quite name. I'm not hated, but I'm not truly respected either. The biggest fear for men in love is not being abandoned. It is being kept in a low position, where you are present but not valued. And what makes it confusing is this: she doesn't say anything wrong. She says things that sound kind. I don't care about that stuff. I just need you. I'm not materialistic. You hear that and you feel lighter, you feel accepted, you feel like you are enough. But then you look at how you are treated, and something does not match. Men often ignore this mismatch for one simple reason. They do not want to become suspicious, controlling, or bitter. They are afraid that if they question things, they will make a big deal out of nothing, ruin the mood, look weak, so they choose silence. They trust the words, and they tell themselves, I should just be more relaxed. But here is something very important you need to understand. Doubt is not weakness. Doubt is a signal that something is not consistent. It is like hearing a melody with one note slightly off. The song is still a song, but your ear cannot relax into it. Relationships work the same way. When words and actions fall out of rhythm, your mind feels uneasy, even if you cannot explain why. Here's a simple example. She says you matter, but her schedule is always full, unless you squeeze yourself into it. She says she does not need much, but you are always the one who has to try a little harder to keep the connection alive. You cannot point to one clear mistake, but you feel like you are giving more than your position gives back. And then the most dangerous thing happens. You start rationalizing everything for her. You say, she probably doesn't mean it. Maybe I'm too sensitive. I shouldn't overthink this. When the real question is not, is she lying? But at what position do I actually hold in her life? A mature man is not someone who always believes. He is someone who can separate nice words from real respect. And in this video, we are not going to interrogate women. We are not going to accuse. We are not going to teach you to become cold. We are going to do something else. Look at patterns, small, repeated behaviors, so you can see where you really stand. Because sometimes the words are not wrong, but your position is very clear. If you have ever been in a relationship where it sounds okay, but it does not feel okay, type yes in the comments. Or just like the video as a way of saying, I understand this feeling. No. And now let's move into the first patterns, the very light signs that if you ignore them, will keep you standing in the wrong place. Here's the English version in natural American voiceover tone, keeping your pacing, emotional weight, and structure. We start with the lightest signs, not the kind that shock you, but the tiny misalignments, just enough to make you feel something is off, but not enough for you to name it yet. And because they're light, men usually ignore them. Pattern 1. High words, low actions. Here's what it looks like. She says you matter. She says you're special. She says you're the one she needs. But when you look at her schedule, her priorities, the way she organizes her life, you don't see yourself in a matching position. You're the one initiating most of the time. You're the one waiting. You're the one trying to fit into her life instead of being given space in it. The psychology behind this is not always deception. Sometimes it's simply this. She keeps you with words, but she's not ready to invest with actions. The common mistake men make. You believe the sentence more than the treatment. You hear, "You're important to me," and you raise your position in your mind, even though nothing changes in reality. In her logic, you don't argue with words. You observe how she arranges her life. Who gets priority? Who gets time? Who is included in real decisions? The right response: no confrontation, no blaming. You simply lower your investment one notch, step back slightly, and see if your position naturally rises. If it doesn't, you already have your answer. You can comment, "Does this pattern feel familiar?" And see how many men recognize it too. Pattern 2. When you need her, she's busy. When she needs you, you're expected to be there. What it looks like: you want to talk? She's busy. You need presence? She's tired. But when she is sad, confused, overwhelmed, you're supposed to show up immediately. This is one-way presence. The psychology. She doesn't see you as an equal emotional partner. She sees you as a resource, a place to get comfort and stability without having to give it back at the same level. The mistake men make: you're always available. You always put her first. And you hope, one day it will be my turn. But respect is not built on hope. It's built on reciprocity. The right response: no anger, no silent punishment. You simply stop being automatically available every time she needs you and see whether she steps toward you when you need her. Respect doesn't live in apologies. It lives in the truth that both people get to be a priority. If you've been in this position, like the video, not to support the channel, but to admit, "I've given more than I received." Pattern 3. She doesn't include you in big decisions. What it looks like: she makes major choices in her life, changing jobs, moving, shifting direction, changing plans, and then she just informs you afterward. She doesn't ask, she doesn't consult, she doesn't treat you like part of the process. The psychology: she doesn't see you as a real partner in the journey. She sees you as someone standing nearby, present, but without a voice. The mistake men make: you accept the role of supporter. You tell yourself, "I should understand her." But understanding does not mean lowering your position. Her logic response: you don't demand power, you simply observe. When something important happens, am I invited in or just notified afterward? A respected man is someone who is included in the picture, not someone who stands outside and nods. These 3 patterns are light. None of them alone is strong enough to make you walk away. But if all 3 show up together, you're in a position that is not lifted by actions, only kept alive by words. And this is where many men start lying to themselves. They listen to beautiful sentences and forget to look at where they are actually being placed. If you want to keep learning how to read these signs clearly, without bitterness, without extremes, follow her logic. Not to make you hate women, but to make sure you don't abandon yourself. We've covered the surface signs: light, subtle, easy to ignore. But in the next part, we go deeper into the patterns that don't just make you uneasy, they make you uncomfortable with who you've become. After everything you've just taken in, you might feel a strange kind of tension inside. Not anger, not certainty, just that quiet unease where you start doubting your own read of the situation. Part of you senses something isn't lining up. Another part keeps saying, "Maybe I'm overthinking this." And honestly, each moment on its own probably didn't feel big enough to mean anything. But the problem is almost never one lie, one phrase, or one incident. It's the rhythm of the relationship that shifts underneath you. It's the direction things slowly start drifting in, like the temperature in a room rising so gradually you don't notice until you're already uncomfortable. Like a steering wheel turned just a few degrees, and miles later you're no longer headed where you thought you were. Or like a low background noise that's been there so long, silence starts to feel unfamiliar. What really matters isn't just what she says in one situation, it's what you start doing inside yourself to live with it. When you find yourself constantly minimizing your own reactions, when your inner voice keeps saying, "It's probably nothing," or "I'm just being too sensitive," that kind of self-talk isn't weakness. It's information, not to accuse, not to blame, but to notice how your sense of self-respect is slowly being negotiated away. And from here, the picture moves into a deeper layer. The patterns that come next don't feel subtle anymore. They show up in the quiet ways a man begins to lose his footing, his confidence, his boundaries, his center, without realizing when it started. This is where many people later look back and think, "I felt it, I just didn't want to see it." If you've ever been in that space, stay with me. Here's the English version in natural American voiceover tone, keeping your pacing, emotional depth, and structure. From here on, nothing is light anymore. The next patterns do not just show you how she behaves. They show you how you have been treating yourself. And the most dangerous part is not what she is doing. It is how you keep rationalizing the things that are hurting you. Like a car with a red warning light on, you do not stop. You just turn the music down, so you do not have to hear the strange noise. Pattern 4. She is comfortable being late, canceling, and breaking promises with you. What it looks like, not once, but repeatedly. You make plans, she is late. She says she will call, then forgets. She promises to meet, then changes the schedule. And every time she says something familiar, "I'm sorry, I've just been so busy. I didn't mean to. I'm really tired." It all sounds reasonable, so you let it go again. The psychology is not always bad intent. It is this. She does not feel the need to keep her word with you at all costs. In her mind, your position is not high enough for broken promises to feel serious. The mistake men make, you defend her for her. You say, "It's probably the situation. She didn't mean it. I should be understanding." But being understanding does not mean erasing the value of your own time. In her logic, you do not get angry. You look at consistency. Respect is not in the apology, it is in this. Does she actually try not to repeat the behavior? If the apology is not followed by change, then it is just an emotional reset button. So you stay in the same position. Pattern 5. You are always the one keeping the peace. What it looks like. Every time something bothers you, you swallow it. You are afraid that if you speak up, you will lose her, make things bigger, be seen as difficult, so you choose silence, you choose endurance, you choose to let it go. But repeated silence becomes a dangerous habit. You get used to abandoning your own emotions to keep someone else from leaving. The psychology. You are more afraid of losing the relationship than losing yourself. The mistake men make, you call it maturity, but in truth, it is cutting your own value into smaller pieces every day. Metaphor. You see a crack in the wall, you do not fix it, you just hang a painting over it. In her logic, you do not start a war. You simply allow your real feelings to exist, not to control anyone, but so you do not live in a relationship where you constantly have to disappear. Pattern 6. You are always the one who says, "just a little more." What it looks like. You keep thinking, "just a little more and it will be okay. If I try a little harder, she will see my value. If I am better, more patient." You live in the future, in a version of the relationship that does not exist yet, while in the present, you are in a position where you have to earn the right to stay. The psychology. You believe love is something you have to win, not something that is given naturally. The mistake men make, you use sacrifice as the measure of worth, but the respected man is not the one who sacrifices the most. He is the one who does not need to sacrifice to keep his position. Metaphor. You are following a broken compass. It is only slightly off, but if you walk long enough, you will end up very far from where you should be. These 3 patterns do not make you leave right away, but they make you slowly lose yourself. And here's the psychological climax. The danger is not that she does not respect you. The danger is that you have convinced yourself that she does. You cover the warning lights, you turn down your intuition, you call endurance love. If you are in this stage, you are not alone. Many good, mature, responsible men have gotten lost in their own kindness. If this content hits you, consider subscribing to the channel, not for the algorithm, but because you deserve to hear things that make you clear-minded without becoming bitter. In the final part, we will talk about the strongest pattern and how you step out of the role of the man who stays at any cost. The strongest pattern is not something she does. It is the state you put yourself in. You stay in the relationship by telling yourself, "just a little more." You try one more time to text first, one more time to wait, one more time to understand, one more time to not make things a big deal. You are not staying because you are clearly chosen. You are staying because you hope to be chosen. And this is where the mindset has to flip completely. Not, "I should try a little harder," but, "I need to know when to stop." Self-respect is not leaving in anger. It is not playing cold games. Self-respect is the ability to look at reality without lying to yourself. So what is the truth here? If you always have to, wait to be prioritized, ask to be included, hope to be heard, then you are not in a relationship. You are in a low position inside one, and no one can raise that position for you if you keep lowering yourself to hold on to it. The most painful part is not that she does not choose you. It is that you chose to stay where you were not clearly chosen. You do not need to be someone who is kept. You need to be someone who is chosen. by actions, not words. Here, her logic does not teach you to hate women. It teaches you to look at your real position in someone's life and choose places where you are respected, not just spoken to nicely. Her logic does not make you bitter. It helps you become clear, observant, and loyal to your own intuition. A mature man is not someone who clings to a relationship. He is someone who knows when to let go to keep himself. No one is the villain here. There are just some positions you should not stand in for too long. If today you stop believing words and only look at behavior, where do you actually stand in her life? You do not need to answer me. You only need to answer yourself. If this helped you see more clearly, leave a short comment. I choose self-respect. And subscribe to her logic. Not to become difficult, but to become someone who no longer lies to himself in love. And before this video ends, let's place the focus back where it truly belongs, not on whether she is lying or telling the truth, not on whether her words can be decoded perfectly, but on something quieter and more important, how you are treating yourself inside this relationship. Because the real issue is rarely one sentence, she says. It's whether your self-respect is slowly being traded for comfort and habit. A lot of men live with the belief, if I just stay consistent a little longer, she'll see my value. And so they give more time, more patience, more benefit of the doubt. But sometimes persistence isn't love anymore. Sometimes it's just fear wearing the mask of loyalty. And in those moments, stepping back isn't failure. It isn't giving up. It's simply the moment you stop bargaining with your worth and start being honest with yourself. That's what her logic is really about. Not turning you into a suspicious man, not teaching you to control women, and not building a mindset of bitterness or blame. Her logic is a way of observing without panic, seeing patterns instead of chasing feelings. It's a way of staying calm when your emotions want to rush ahead of clarity. And above all, it's a compass of self-respect, something that helps you keep your dignity when the relationship starts to make you feel smaller instead of chosen. So before you focus on what she might be saying that sounds reassuring, ask yourself this: are you staying because you feel genuinely respected? Or because you're afraid of what it means to stop accepting less than you deserve? If you've ever been in that space, you don't need to justify yourself here. You're not on trial. But if you want to share what that moment felt like for you, you're welcome to quietly, honestly. And if you want to keep your mind clear, your reactions grounded, and your sense of self intact, her logic will still be here. Not to push you, not to pull you, just to walk with you while you stay awake, steady, and self-respecting.